What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in Standard with a Jund mid-range list. Actually, it's not mid-range, it's Menacerange. That's right. We're playing around here with Angrath, Captain of Chaos, card from War of the Spark. 4 mana, 5 loyalty. Planeswalker creatures you control have Menace, -2, Amass 2. This is a card that hasn't really seen a whole lot of play. It's not really good. Some of the Amass decks early on in War of the Spark Standard played around with it a little bit, but even then, I don't think they really saw too much play there. So we kind of thought about, with all the good value creatures in Jund, I was like, let's kind of make a deck where we have a bunch of creatures that are really good, and they get even better with Menace, because that's like the one thing they're missing. You have like Questing Beast and Elder Gargaroth, things like that have pretty much every other ability. So let's give him Menace on top of that with Angrath. And the nice thing about Angrath here is he does make a body, 2/2 zombie token. That can kind of at least play a little bit of a defense as well to kind of protect him. But for the most part, we're just trying to get our creatures down first, and then once we get kind of our board state going, then we can play Angrath, and we can throw off our opponent's math when they're trying to think they have enough creatures back to block. Well, now we drop Angrath, and now all of our creatures have Menace, so you need multiple creatures to block our creatures. So we're playing some of the Menace creatures that we got from recent sets, and just some of the good value kind of mid-range creatures in Jund colors. So just running 3 copies here because, like I said, we want to kind of get set up first, a little bit, we get our creatures down first, and then drop an Angrath and kind of throw off our opponent's game plan a little bit. And just because, Angrath really just isn't really that great. But, we're going to have some fun playing around with it. So Jund colors here, so we got some eliminates here for some early game interaction. And then we also got the Labyrinth Raptor and Stormfist Crusader. Labyrinth Raptor is our kind of a Menace Lord here. 2/2 for 2 mana. Whenever a creature you control with Menace becomes blocked, the defending player sacrifices a creature blocking it. So if they go to, double block one of your creatures, they have to sacrifice something. And if that creature that they do not sacrifice is not enough to kill your creature, especially since we're running bigger creatures now in this list, then, it's going to be very difficult for your opponent to kind of keep up with you. Then it's got this fantastic activated ability. You can pay a black and a red to give creatures you control with Menace +1/+0 until end of turn. And as long as we have an Angrath down, that's all of our creatures. So yeah, it's a pretty fantastic Menace Lord. And then Stormfist Crusader is a 2/2 with Menace. Mostly here for the early card draw. Let's just kind of be aggressive with a 2/2 Menace creature on turn 2, but also chipping away at your opponent's life total, where each player draws a card and loses 1 life. And we're just running 3 copies here because we are not super aggro like some of the other Menace lists really should be, but we're kind of running a slower mid game here, so we don't really want to take too much life loss. So just like if you don't want multiples of these out necessarily, because you're gonna take a lot of damage while you're kind of getting into that mid to late game. So just 3 copies feels right to me, so you can kind of see it consistently, but not all the copies, and you're basically dying to your Stormfist Crusaders. We do have Midnight Reaper, which kind of fills a similar slot here. It's a 3/2 for 3 mana. Just a nice aggressive creature, additional card draw. We do, take 1 damage when we draw a card, one of our creatures dies, but that's fine. We're just running 2 copies here. We also have the Murderous Rider and Bonecrusher Giant, just for the flexibility here. Obviously, we want to run a lot of creatures, but we still want to run some removal. We're in Jund colors, so we, should be running some pretty good removal. So Murderous Rider as a 2 of, and Bonecrusher Giant as a 2 of. And then we also have a Cultivate here. Just kind of fixes our mana. We're 3 colors, so just kind of making sure you get the basics out that you need. Obviously, against slower deck, you can play this on turn 3 with confidence, kind of ramp up into your bigger plays, and try to go over the top of those decks and things like that. And then aggro decks, obviously, you can be running some of the 3 drops, and you'll kind of wait on the Cultivate, unless you're missing your mana or something like that. So that's why just 2 copies. And then Radha here kind of fills a similar function where he kind of helps you hit your land drops as well. And just a 3/3 for 3 that on our turn has first strike. And then also with Menace, of course, if we have an Angrath out, it's pretty fantastic. And with the activated ability here for 6 mana, giving her +1/+1 for each of our lands in play, is going to be really fantastic as well. It's a very, very nice combat trick in the late game. And then little protection from those go wide strategies is just 1 copy here of Extinction Event. I'm just going to hit those mono-colored lists that are pretty aggressive. And let's have 1 copy here of Rankle. It's a good creature. It's kind of that alphabet soup, kind of like Questing Beast and Elder Gargaroth, where it just has like all the text on it, except for Menace. And so it fits in nicely in that regard, just being a good creature all around. But it's also here to sacrifice our Stormfist Crusader. Like I said, we're kind of a mid to late game deck, and the Rankle as a 1 of can be a way to sacrifice our Stormfist Crusader so we don't die to it. while also potentially drawing us cards and making our opponent discard as well. So just the flexibility on this card is pretty fantastic. And Tectonic Giant serves a similar function here. It's just this creature. It's 4 mana 3/4, which isn't like too amazing. However, when it attacks or becomes the target of a spell, you get to choose between dealing 3 damage to your opponent or exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them, and until your end of your next turn, you can play that card. So it's a nice source of card advantage. Or you can just hit your opponent for 3. Especially when you give this thing Menace, then you're basically swinging through for the 3 power and plus the 3 damage. You're hitting them for 6, which is actually pretty fantastic. And it's been hard to kind of find a home for this deck because there's a 4 mana 3/4. But when you give it Menace and you combine with some other things they're doing, this card has worked out pretty well for me. So I'm happy to run 3 copies here. And of course, you're in green, so Questing Beast is kind of a easy to include. It has Vigilance, Deathlatch, and Haste, so pretty much everything but Menace. So we're gonna obviously run Questing Beast, and then it gets just that much better for your opponent to. Opponents can have that much harder time, so it gets better for us, obviously. And the Angrath here, the nice thing about Angrath, of course, is it does have the flexible hybrid mana cost of black or red. So when we're in a 3-card deck, sometimes you might be missing that second black source or second red source or whatever, and Angrath kind of has that nice flexibility. So one more thing to kind of point out. Terror of the Peaks here, just nice value engine, especially with some of our bigger creatures that we're running here. 5 mana 5/4. If your opponent targets this with a spell, then they take additional 3 life to cast that spell. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control, Terror of the Peaks goes down equal to that creature's power to any target. So we do have, lots of 2, 3, 4 powered creatures, and all the incremental damage is going to add up, especially when you think about like Stormfist Crusader or Rankle and things like that. This deck can be pretty aggressive and do some nice things. Final here, we have 2 copies of the Elder Gargaroth. Just a ton of value here with a 5 mana 6/6 Vigilance, Reach, Trample. Again, basically everything but Menace. And then when this thing attacks or blocks, being able to choose a 3/3 to kind of help you go wide, being able to gain life against those aggro decks, or draw a card against the mid-range and control decks. This card is pretty insane value here, especially when you give it Menace on top of that, and it's pretty fantastic. And to kind of make up for all the life loss with the Murderous Riders, the Midnight Reapers, Stormfist Crusaders, 1 copy here of Erebos Intervention for removal, life gain, and also for the flexibility. If you're up against a graveyard deck, like Uro, things like that, you can exile cards from your opponent's graveyard here. Alright, mana base, 25 lands, so we're mostly black-red, kind of splashing green. We have Questing Beast and Elder Gargaroth and Cultivate, and Radha too, as kind of our green spell. So it's just kind of definitely the support color here. So we're happy to run 3 Swamp, 3 Mountain, just the 1 Forest. And then for the mana base, we're running all the Shocklands, the Blood Crypt, the Overgrown Tomb, the Stomping Ground. We do have 2 Temple of Malice, because we are obviously more pretty heavily into the black and green. 1 Temple of Malady, 1 Temple of Abandon. And we don't mind running all these tap lands, because we don't have any 1-drops. So having a Temple in your opening hand is perfect. You get to scry. You have at least 2 colors in your opening hand, and just makes this a lot easier in the subsequent turns. We also have 2 Fabled Passage for that extra little bit of fixing to go with our 7 basics plus the 3, the 2 cultivates. So 5 ways to kind of tutor up basics. So feels pretty solid there. Sideboard here, kind of a lot of the usual stuff here. We have 3 Agonizing Remorses. Decided to go with Return to Nature, just having an actual instant speed interaction instead of like a Brontodon, because we're not really into the double green thing. Same thing with like Gem Razor. You don't necessarily have like good mutation targets or have the double green to really get value out of those. So just Return to Nature just makes this a little bit simpler, being able to interact with enchantments and artifacts. A couple of Croxes again for like those kind of late game matchups where it's going to be more of a grind. We can kind of force our opponent to discard, and we can recast this in the late game and just keep getting value with the escape. A couple Soul Sears, having the flexibility to hit 5 damage for creatures, planeswalkers, and making them lose indestructible, so it works in gods and things like that. It's pretty fantastic. And don't like the life gain deck, so a couple Tibalts here so we can shut those down. 2 of Clothis here as some more graveyard interaction, and just a nice value creature as a 4/5. Green is kind of our support card. We still have plenty of red. The Angrath being the hybrid mana still counts as 2 red devotion, so getting to 5 devotion shouldn't be too difficult with the Clothis out, and then having the option to either ramp or gain life and deal damage to your opponent is pretty great in those kind of grindier matchups. And then for some additional help against those go wide strategies, 2 copies here of Ritual of Soot. All right, that's the deck. We'll jump into some matches. All right, up against Ridiculed. Huh. It's fairly aggressive with the Raptor and the Stomp Bonecrusher, so we'll try it. Another Swamp. Alright. Draw any green source, we should be fine. There we go. Get our Raptor down. Alright, Seasoned Hollow Blade can be indestructible. Okay, we know you can discard a card to make your thing indestructible. It's not really affecting anything right now. So feel free to click through opponent. There we go. I know we gotta choose between playing out the Giant or Cultivate next turn. All said. Could be a good stomp target, just get that off the board so that I can't sacrifice it. Alright, they can make it indestructible. Could force them to start discarding here, but not sure it's worth it. Another Raptor. Just get this off the board and try to race them. I could sacrifice it just so we don't get the Giant. That'd probably be the correct play. Alright, so they got this 3-1, but once we find one of our bigger creatures, then we should be in good shape. So it's Lesnie Auras with Seasoned Howlblade for the Indestructible. I guess kind of doing the Danto Vanguard impression. Alright, well, Rankle will be amazing off the top. Nope. So just play the Bonecrusher Giant here just to kind of preserve our life total. And Blood Crypt. Found all 4 Blood Crypts. I think our opponents still get 3 lands. Well, these decks need more than like 3 or 4 lands, so we'll see what they got. So test some champion or something like that would be pretty good for them. Let's make them discard. I get the trample through for 1. Got a lot of cards in hand though. Yep. So soak up 3 points of damage there. I got a Stone Coil for 3. We do have an Eliminate. Get that off the board. Swing for 2. Alright, so these Raptors with their activated abilities are starting to represent quite a bit of damage though. So maybe we can race them. They tap a creature down. Swing for 5. Anything else? Okay. Alright, so we can here swing. So we activate twice and they each swing for 4. That's 8. Put them at 6, but then we're almost dead. Alright, let's shock in. Let's play the Murderous Rider as a creature and cultivate. So next turn we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 mana to sink into these. So they each get +4. So if they don't have any creatures, okay, so they trample through for 4 damage. Put us at 1, and then we kill them next turn. Or are we just short of, oh no, we have 3, so yes, we can shock in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, just to be sure. Hit them for 12. Alright, Labyrinth Raptors, putting in work. Alright. So Soul Sear looks pretty good. Cultivate felt a little slow there. I mean, classes can hit their Sentinel's Eyes, but it's pretty medium. Obviously, Return to Nature is pretty interesting here. Probably better than the Bonecrusher. Good Remorse as well. I got pretty lucky there with the Hallowed Blade there on 2. I don't really go wide. I probably have ways to protect the creatures, so Ritual Soot probably not worth it. Remorse maybe though. Extinction Event's kind of a nice backup plan. Exile obviously gets around the Indestructible. And obviously want the Rankle in there, so we'll just run it back like that. With all the card draw, the Remorse probably still isn't good enough either. Man. Angrath finally showed up at the party. We have Eliminate, so I think we gotta try it. Of course, we draw a land. Alright, well, we're mostly red-black, so we'll drop the Blood Crypt. We'll play a basic to leave open a Eliminate. That was Stormfist. We want a Stormfist. Let's Stormfist, try to draw something that's not a land. Next one we have Eliminate. Open wherever they play here, unless it's another Hallowed Blade, Indestructible. Of course it is. Why wouldn't our opponent see it every single game? So we just want to get the Lifelinker and Protector off the board. So they're going to be drawing 1,000,000 cards, which they want. That's fine. So we killed Alseid, so now we can swing in with our Menace. And we have a Tectonic Giant open here. Double red, we got the Forest and the Swamp. And once we have nothing else better to do, we can Angrath. So we have our Tectonic Giant Menace. Should line up pretty well with what they're trying to do, although they have found another Alseid, which is a little unfortunate. But I imagine they just attack with the Hallowed Blade here. I assume they're just going to try to race us. I'm sure they have a way to do that, and Vigilance is pretty nice for them. And a Ginger Root. Down to 14, now 13. It's a lot of lands. Well, we'll still go Giant, I think. And obviously can't really attack in here, so we'll just stay back. So the Hellblade is a 2-drop, these are 1-drops, and we've got a couple 2-drops over here, so Extinction Event not really good for us, but we do need to kind of hold down the fort a little bit. So slow down their card draw, we'll block with the Stormfist. Okay, making Ginger Brute unblockable. We'll make him discard. And his tap, so that takes away from the Vigilance. And a Questing Beast, that's pretty good. We'll get swinging. I think you want to try to find something, so we'll dig with the Exile ability. Oh, Return to Nature's not bad. Down to 9. They do have Lifelink with the Alseid, and now we have a Questing Beast. Of course, they have 3 cards in hand to potentially discard to the Hallowed Blade. Just keep it indestructible in the face of our Questing Beast, so the Death Touch kind of rendered moot. So I think we just take 4 here. Okay, I think we just Murderous Rider the Alseid or the Gingerbread here. I'm probably going to get that Season Growth off line so they can't start drawing cards and dig their way out of this. We hold back the Giant. I guess we hold back the Giant. Well, let's just swing all here. Hit them for 3, I think. Will we pressure their life total? Let's get the 1/1 lifelinker off before they can even have the option to block. To protect the Gingerbrute. So we get 1 creature off the board. So these are Alseid, which protects creatures and enchantments, so we can now safely return to nature the Season Growth. We could have also return nature the Gingerbrute, but I don't think it's worth it. Let's go ahead and fire this off. Yeah, they get the card draw. They waste the Caramage's Blessing just to draw a card. Seems pretty meh. Get them down to 2. Could have also just taken out the Sentinel's Eyes. Okay, so test some training. And if we block, they trample through for 1. Did not want to see another creature there. Okay, they protect it just to get through for 5 damage. Which is now 4 because they have protection from green, which means the Citizen Training falls off. Okay, another Gingerbrute. Wow, all the Gingerbrutes. We can't block there, so we're taking 6. Well, they're tapped out, so yeah. And this is where Angrath does its thing. Whew. Wow, that was super tight. So saving Angrath there till we needed him was pretty huge there. Got pretty lucky that they didn't actually get to draw cards off the Season Growth, and then they gave Pro Green, which dropped the Citizen Training, which probably helped out a little bit. Alright, I'm going to Void Whispers. Don't love it, but I'm going to trust these temples will scry us into something good. We kept Angrath last time, and it was our lucky charm, so we will ride that. We'll ride that train again. Let's get the Fabled Passage to get us a second green source for any questing beasts or Elder Gargaroths. There's a Gargaroth. Probably don't need another late creature. Looking for something a little bit earlier. Any 2 or 3 drop would do. Midnight Reaper. Well, that's close enough. There's a 2 drop. I guess we'll keep it. I mean, it is our Menace Lord, so you can just play that in a tap land next turn. And Golgari. Seasoned Growth. Just another mutate. I'm guessing this is mutate. You don't usually see Seasoned Growth unless it's like mono green or a mutate. Alright, so next turn probably just Midnight Reaper, Blood Crypt, and then follow that up with Fabled Passage for a green source into Terror, and hopefully that's enough. Voracious Hydra for 1. Assume we're going to double the counters. Okay, they got a 2/3. We got Menace that can swing through that, and they got the Midnight Reaper that can block that if we want to. We got the Rankle as well. It's probably actually worth Rankling here, just get rid of that. If they want to mutate on top of it, then obviously we want to deal with that now. Alright, so Forest. We'll swing 5. We'll just go Sacrifice. Didn't want to sack our Raptor there, but I think it's worth getting this Hydra off the board if they're on mutate. Don't want them to give a free mutation here, a couple counters, and a card draw of Seasoned Growth. Okay, you have 1 creature to sacrifice, so it shouldn't be that hard. And Rankle is so great, that value, having that flexibility to choose any of those. Feels so good just here as a 1 of as well. So don't always have great sacrifice fodder when we want to use that. I don't think we want our opponent to start drawing out of this. We certainly don't want to discard anything. Next turn we'll probably just Blood Crypt into Terror, and we can follow that up with either Angrath or Midnight Reaper. If they drop a flyer, then probably just Angrath, so we have the Evasion. Spinal Centipede. It's not a creature you see every day. Could eliminate it, but I think we'll just do that. We'll say nothing. We want our opponent to draw their way out of the situation. So we got the Terror of the Peaks online. Swinging for 8. You draw a card, lose a life, hit for 9, play Midnight Reaper for 3, Terror of the Peaks triggers for 3, 12. So if this board stays intact, they don't have any life gain, then that's game. And they tap out for a Voracious Hydra, which cannot fight anything. So yeah. Sweet. So I'm not sure what their Seasoned Growth value is. We've seen literally 0 plays from them. Yeah, I'll just take 3. Okay. So yeah, just get the get the attack in here. So I have the stomp as well, but we'll stick with the plan. Stick with the plan. Xaxes. Whew. Man, Terror to the Peak, such a sweet card. Okay, Return to Nature. Eliminate seem like they hit everything our opponent is doing. Same with Ritual of Sit. So Rankle came in pretty handy there. But I'm not really sure that's the answer. I mean, the Ritual of Sit's kind of hit everything that we saw from them. So I think we're actually going to go for the Ritual of Sits. Alright, do we want the Return to Natures as well? Erebos Intervention can be a little bit tricky against what they're doing. We'll just bring in one Return to Nature. And I'll try like that. So obviously we want to try to hit that Season's Growth before they get a ton of card advantage off of it, but we don't really see too many targets there, so I don't know if they're trying to mutate or if they're just instant-speed combat tricks. Alright, so we got Temple into Blood Crypt into Stormfist, plus Eliminate and Bonecrusher Giant. Seems pretty solid. Nice opener. Okay. Went with the turn 1 play this time. Banehound. Can't do anything about that. So we will Temple. We got all the lands we need. I guess that's fine. We can just play a mountain here, so we have black-red to play the Stormfist. To play safe here and just stomp it, but not too worried about a 1/1 Banehound. It is gaining life, was a little bit annoying, but wow, 2 Banehounds. Well, we got a creature on the deck as well. Alright, probably want to get this Blood Crypt down, make sure we have a double red next turn. Turn 4, I should say. So the question is, do we eliminate or stomp anything here? Do we shock for a Bonecrusher Giant, get a 4/3? See what our opponent does. Okay, so they're running some combat tricks. So no blocks. Guaranteed it's Growth Cycle, Giant Growth, Titanic Growth, one of those. Are they going to fire it off? They do. So in that case, I think we just kind of hold up removal. Our opponent's at 27. We're down to 11 though, so we need to be real careful. So I think let's let them swing out here, and whatever they go to pump up, we stomp or eliminate. Okay, Centipede. This will have green mana open to get another growth effect. Yep, they tap out for Chainweb Arachnir. I guess we stomp. And block, so we get rid of those two. And gain a life. Alright, so we're down to 10. So we have to manage our life total here. So we probably don't mind losing our Stormfist at this point. So we Radha, see what's on top. A land. We'll play the land, so we draw through our deck a little bit. Alright, we got another land coming next turn, so it helped us get through some of this land pocket. So definitely blocking with our Stormfist Crusader for any attacks, probably even Radha as well, just to preserve our life total. Next turn we can play the Bonecrusher Giant plus Eliminate. Not any rush to get this Stormfist Crusader down, obviously, with our life total being so low. And they're all the way up to 27, thanks to those Banehounds. So I guess you kind of want them to attack just to get the Stormfist Crusader off the board. Well, they tap out for a Wildwood Scourge, so no combat tricks incoming. Happy to trade here. They got to put a counter on the Arachneer, I would assume. If you put the counter on the Arachneer, then the Scourge gets one anyway, but okay. So I'll probably need to just get that Scourge off the board before they do anything tricky, so let's just fire this off. We've got a 4-3 and a 3-3. Sure, we'll attack. Try to whittle their life total down a little bit. They go for the... You're at 27 life and you block to prevent 3 damage. You just want to escape it. I guess they do have enough cards in their graveyard now to escape. But they're missing a second green source, though. And we have no flyers. Except for Rankle, which we sideboarded out. So we got the Murderous Rider coming next. So if we can preserve our life total, then we can feel confident in firing that off. Did they think they were going to cast their Arachneer this turn? Alright, so we know they have the Banehounds with haste, but I think we still just need to get their life total back down. Giant seems fine, and next we'll do Temple of Malice since we got all these Murderous Riders. And even though life total's low, I think we just go ahead and keep it. We just kind of need all the removal we can get right now. Season of Growth. Another Giant. Do we want another Giant? Probably need something, probably like a Gargaroth would be a little bit better. So let's Temple before combat. Scry it to the bottom, and then we'll activate. We'll hit it for Radha as well. Let's exile. A couple lands. Alright, nothing else going on, so we'll activate. Hit them for... I missed lethal. Whew, did not do the math there. If we had chosen 3 damage to them, that would have been lethal with the Radha. Instead of exile, if we hit them for 3, they would have been dead. But did not take the time to do the math, and could cost us here, but from what we've seen so far, I doubt it. Basically, all we have to do is just attack with the Bonecrusher Giant next turn, and they're just dead even if they have some huge creature. They could Voracious Hydra for 3, but that's not enough to fight the Giant. Not the Tectonic Giant. And otherwise, yeah, we just pretty much have them. So, did not take time to do the math, but we got away with it this time. So yeah, that's the nice thing about the Tectonic Giant is in the right situations, this card is really, really good. Okay, they tap out to escape their Chainweb Arachneer. Let's see what we draw. Labyrinth Raptor. We'll just attack with the Giant, hit him for lethal. Should have done last time. Sweet. So yeah, pretty nice showcase of the deck right there. Alright, Jund Menacerange. Those gems. It's precious, precious 20 gems or whatever it is. Alright, Jund Menacerange. So, you know, Jund Midrange is a pretty decent spot right now, I think, especially after the bans and everything like that. So if you want to make this more, you know, competitive, take this into ranked, you could probably just cut the Angraths all together. It is a fun card. It can put in work in certain situations. So maybe you want to leave one in here just because. But yeah, definitely could take these 3 out. Put in like add another Rankle maybe. Tectonic Giant, Questing Beast. Any of those cards would probably fit in for those 3. But if you're not going with that Menace plan, then you probably don't want the Raptor or even the Crusader. You saw the Crusader obviously whittled away our life total. But there's definitely room to kind of play around with a Jund Midrange if you want to take this into ranked and actually do well with it. This is just kind of more for fun, kind of trying to showcase like an Angrath, which is a card that we haven't seen a whole lot of play, and just kind of taking advantage of a lot of the powerful creatures that we do have, and actually saying, well, what if we took all their powerful abilities and we gave a Menace on top of that, and what would that look like? You know, we got that win there against the against the Aura deck with the Questing Beast, and we dropped the Angrath there at the last second to make the Questing Beast basically unblockable because they had one creature back and they thought they were going to win, but we said, no, it has Menace now, so sorry. And the Tectonic Giant, you know, if you can kind of control the board, especially with like Menace and things like that, this Tectonic Giant is actually ton of value. But just the problem is, you know, it's just a 3/4 for 4, so a lot of the matchups it doesn't really line up very well. But I think it's a pretty reasonable creature, especially if you do have lots of removal. I still think there's a home for a Tectonic Giant if you can kind of get those easy attack triggers and guarantee that 3 damage or the card draw. Obviously, I didn't quite slow down and do the math. Oh, we could have killed our opponent that much sooner with the Tectonic Giant triggers. Instead, I just kind of played it safe and wanted the exile. But we got there anyway. You know, Extinction Event certainly makes up for Ritual of Soot being kind of medium, although it's like after the bans, aggro is probably gonna be pretty powerful. So Ritual of Soot might be more of a main deck consideration, and you just kind of maybe just kind of focus more on a lot of early turn removal, and you kind of do away with all this package altogether, and just run like more Eliminates and Heartless Acts, things like that. Maybe still even like the Cultivate, so you can kind of make sure you get to this Terror and the Elder Gargaroth, and maybe go to like 3 or even 4 of these, and just kind of be firmly in that kind of late game territory where you're concentrating on the 4, 5, and 6 drops and everything at 1, 2, and 3, or 2 and 3, just like removal. You can definitely make a competitive version of that. But yeah, this is a fun list for me. I enjoyed you know, showcasing it. Lots of good stuff in here. Terror of the Peaks is just a fabulous card. Only have 2 copies. It is a mythic, and of course those wild cards are hard to come by. Elder Gargaroth is a fantastic card. You should definitely at least have 1 or 2 of these in your collection. Just so versatile. And Radha, obviously you saw Radha put in some work there with that open board state. You know, when you get the Menace on top of it for activated ability, that's it's pretty powerful effect in the late game. That's what we're trying to do, is trying to get that late game. So we got some nice removal, and the Stormfist Crusader kind of helps us draw out of a lot of situations. It is pretty risky with the you know, the life loss and being a slower deck, but we have the Gargaroth and the intervention to kind of make up for that, and then we have some pretty powerful ways to kind of close out the game with Terror of the Peaks and things like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, make sure you jank with purpose.